Barstool sold to Penn Entertainment, speaking of gaming. And so I'm torn on this. Ben Mintz, Mincy, Wake Up with Mincy. He has been fired by Penn for the show where he was reading and rapping lyrics and he drops the N-word. And Portnoy had one of his emergency press conferences yesterday where he details that he went to bat for Mincy. He did not want to have him fired. Big Cat and others were also going to his defense. And Portnoy says it doesn't really matter what I tried to do because they were going to, they did what they did because of fear of government retaliation and restrictions that could be put on Penn Entertainment moving forward if they didn't make a move and make an example of Mintz in this case. On one hand, and Portnoy's admitted this too, he sold out. He sold the company. He doesn't have, he's an employee in many ways to Penn Entertainment, but the cachet that he brings and the pull from the Barstool audience
absolutely.
That he brings.
He is Barstool.
Has dropped the Penn Entertainment stock by, 13, 14% as of this morning. Yeah. We will see more of that. But fireable offense, no. And I'm basing that off of just the video of Mincy reading these lyrics. And you can tell when he says it, there's a hesitation and a stammering that follows where he didn't really want to say it, but he was, again.
Yeah, you could tell he was.
I don't think he was intentional.
At that second realized, oh my gosh, what did I just say?
Don't think it was intentional. I don't. He can be held accountable for it without losing his job. And that's, in essence, what Portnoy relayed in his statement, but also said, like, whenever we sold, we agreed that these things could not happen anymore. We knew that these things could not happen anymore. Well, one did, and now you see the repercussions of that to a level that I don't agree with, but a level that Penn Entertainment feels like they had to do. Otherwise, they were going to be regulated more than what they're regulated now. Yeah,
but if you look at the world in general and who gets in trouble for what, I mean, Jonathan, this is really the direction we've seen everyone and everything moving in.
Yeah.
There's zero room for error anymore. You make one small mistake, you get canceled. We see that time and time again. I think it's clear that Mincy had no malice in what he was saying. He was simply singing a lyric in a song that's very popular. It was the Bone Thugs and Harmony First of the Month song. And I think that a lot of people would admit to themselves if they were singing alone in their car, they would not be censoring themselves. They probably would say every single word of every lyric out loud, and they don't mean anything by it. But because he was on camera and it was broadcast to a large audience, even with no malice, because it was caught on camera, it now means something much different. And they're using him as, you know, whether it's a reason, I guess an excuse to just show the world the direction that Barstool wants to move in, be a little bit more PC, or Penn has already made the argument that we can't have any more slip-ups because they've had, and Barstool pushes the envelope a lot. But that's what they're known for. That's why
they bought them.
And that's why people like Barstool. I personally do not think this was a reason to get fired, but I also sadly understand this is the way we're moving in, and there is little room for error. And until we do something about the grander scheme of this whole phenomenon of cancel culture, this is the direction we're going to continue to go down, and we're going to see a lot more of this, I'm sure.
So, but the fear would be that state governments would pull the gambling licenses because of something said on a Barstool show. And that's another thing Portnoy brought up. He's like, we're already fighting uphill because it's Barstool involved, and there are people that absolutely, and effing hate him. That
you're not going to say it?
Yeah, well,
Are you scared of getting fired?
No, I'm not scared of getting fired. I'm just scared of Colin not hitting the dump button on the regular basis. I'll save the F-bomb drop for me, Charly, for later when Clay's on.
Can't wait.
But the aspect that they're going to be regulated even more is alarming to me. That they would use this, where I mean he turns white as a ghost. Portnoy said, he's like, look, it's a Ron Burgundy moment. And if you don't see it, you're like, okay, sure. But when you see the clip, you do realize, like, as dumb as it was, he does say, oh, you can almost have the look, oh my God, like, what just happened here? And then he keeps going, right?
At that point, what do you do? But there's also the argument.
That's also what Barstool's known for. Oh my God, what just happened here? We just keep going.
Yeah, and he didn't mean anything by it. And I also think that Bone Thugs, as we know, I'm a huge hip hop fan. I don't know what your music tastes are.
Bone Thugs was definitely on in my room in 1999.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's one of those things. I don't think when Bone Thugs was writing the song, they ever thought, oh my goodness, if a white person ever says these lyrics out loud, God forbid. It's a work of art. It's like, for example, if I were to take a book and then I were to remove excerpts from your book and then republish it, that wouldn't be right. This is how the art was put out and how it should remain. And I don't think there was any idea in Bone Thugs' mind that it should not be recited the exact way that they wrote it, regardless of who's singing it. So,
but also, like, if Penn is going to sit there and say, like, hey, this can't happen, Barstool can't do this, we can't just move on, and he can't just apologize. At most, just apologize. And
they didn't even give him the opportunity.
Right. And I think that's the troubling issue here, is if they're not going to let Barstool do this, who's actually going to live up to the we can say and do what we want, like, in totality? In some ways, everyone's regulated, and if you sell out, you're selling that right. And Dave admitted that. He had to double back this morning with another video, and he's like, oh, you're calling me a sellout? Yes. He's like, yes, I'm a sellout.
Yeah, well, he's a very rich sellout.
And he also pointed to that too.
It's the name of the game right now.
But one more final point. If Portnoy wanted to double down and just say, like, hey, he's staying, and blow it out of the water. And he said, like, if we didn't sell and they were trying to do this to us, we would blow it up to the rafters on what the gaming commissions were trying to do to us, what the government was trying to do to us. But Penn's not even willing to even toe that line whatsoever. But they're allowing him to admit it.
It is a good point, though, because if stock was able to drop this much just because of Mincy being let go, and we realize, what a sellout Barstool Sports has become on behalf of its parent company, Penn Gaming, then what would happen if Dave Portnoy said, okay, well, that's it. If he goes, I go, and then there is no more Barstool, because without Dave Portnoy, there is no Barstool. So then what would happen? I have to imagine he has a lot more power than, he's even admitting that he has. He could have just said, no way, this is not happening. And then what? What's Penn Gaming going to do? Okay, you can walk. And then guess what? The company just disappears and no one gives a crap about Barstool anymore?
Penn Entertainment serves the gaming commissions. They're serving the state governments. Portnoy's serving whatever's contractually is in that deal with Penn Entertainment. So he's having to serve that same and toe that same line.
Oh my gosh.
That's the way I take this, and it's awful. But
it's horrible.
It ends up being something we never thought we'd see at Barstool.